Welcome, welcome to another book review by myself, Josh. If you're new here, I review all types of books, whether it's non-fiction, book talk, romantasy, whatever the case is. If I enjoy it, if you enjoy it, I will pick it up. And today, I want to review something that just came out at the time of making this video, at least. I'm not sure when you're gonna get it, but at the time of making this video, this book just came out. It is Game On, the third novel of Into the Darkness by Nevessa Allen. Now, the reason I have this stack over here is to say, if you don't know this, I'm a big Nevessa Allen fan. I think a lot of people have seen these two books, book 1 and book 2 of Into the Dark series, Lights Out and Caught Up, and both are very book talk-y, if that is a word. Stalking, dark romance, a lot of spice, etc., etc. But, of course, when reading a book 3 of such a series that is well known and so popular as well, it is crucial to remember that a lot of people are reading book 3 with expectations of book 1 and book 2 in mind and kind of wanting to see the same level or if not better in book 3. And I think that's always like super important when reading book talk series, especially romance series, because a lot of the times there are 2 or 3 books, and in book 1 they will introduce a character, and book 2 they'll take that obscure side character and they'll give that entire side character a romance, a story, a plot, etc., etc., and throughout that they will introduce maybe the third character and so forth and so forth. And that's kind of how book talk books have been, or book talk romance books have been building their universes, because it's not exactly a series where you have book 1, the character Josh is now constantly the main character of every single other book. Instead, it'll be Josh's best friend, and then it'll be the best friend's best friend, or best friend's brother, or the best friend's illegal stalking contact that for whatever reason is charming in book 3. So the author decides to give them their entire own book, book 4. And that's kind of how, Anna Wayne does the series. I'm sure that's, Tom Ford, Walsh, all these romance book talk authors. I'm pretty sure that's what they do. They give you a group, they give you the characters sprinkled in the series, and eventually they give you that need to want to see that character have their own book, have their own romance, and etc. So, of course, this is book 3 of Into the Darkness, and it follows book 1's best friends. So, book 1, Lights Out, follows Josh, and Josh has a best friend named Tyler. So book 2 kind of deviates from it in that you don't really get a lot of book 2's characters in book 1, but you get just enough to kind of introduce them to the universe and have them as like a character. I wouldn't even classify Junior as a side character in book 1, but for whatever reason, mafia, the notion of sex work, etc., bears a big part in book 2. But book 3 takes us back to a character that we know very well from book 1 and 2, which is Tyler. So basically, if you don't know, minor spoilers for book 2, not really though, but minor spoilers in that obviously Tyler plays a role in book 2. But Tyler is this friend of Josh who had moved with him when it was found out that Josh's father was who his father was. And essentially Tyler has been running this illegal gambling pit where he's been taking money from the explicitly rich and basically driving it to repeat that process over and over, just continuously take money, reinvest it into the games, take money again, reinvest it into the games, and kind of like a justice sort of mentality, robbing the rich of their money, because in his eyes the rich are completely vile and do not deserve to hold that wealth, do not deserve to get away with all that they get away with, and do not deserve their lives that they live, knowing that he's passed and so many other people out there struggling. So that is the motivation of Tyler. And then you get Stella, which is the love interest of this enemies to lovers, in which she is one of those people that Tyler is supposed to hate. A child that was born in a rich family, that family that has generational wealth, but has, for whatever reason, ended up opening this tattoo shop as her inheritance doing something else, and she's earning and living basically check to check every single month. So she isn't exactly what Tyler hates in the entire romance, but it is exactly what you can see basically why Tyler wouldn't exactly like her. But for whatever reason, Tyler zeroes in on Stella and zeroes in on her family by inviting her younger brother Blake to one of the illegal gambling events. He, because he's a target obviously, racks up an enormous debt of about $3 million, his entire inheritance gone. But of course, he doesn't have that money on him. Like, having $3 million is apparently not a thing that he can just pay back without everybody being upset, including his father, his mother, and Stella, of course. But Tyler has this plan. He's targeted Blake for one reason, and one reason specifically, because he wants to use it as motivation to get Stella underneath his thumb, and then use Stella to get revenge on the father that has abandoned him and his mother, who just happens to be Stella's parents' business partner. And now he wants that information and everything. So he's going to use the debt that Blake has now incurred to motivate Stella into a fake dating scenario where he will gain that information necessary to take down her family and also get his revenge against the rich, and most importantly, his father. But of course, he will not be telling Stella all of this. So it is very much a fake dating, forced proximity, enemies to lover, book talk, romance, spicy book. But my immediate thoughts. I will be honest, I didn't really, when it comes to books like this, I don't really read the back. I don't really read what it's about, who is about, whatever. Because I think when you become like a fan of an author, you kind of pick up their books because you know there is an element to them that you like, and I think obviously Lights Out, which is probably the best book in the series, actually not even compared, but confirmed by pretty much everybody that follows Navessa Allen and the series. Everybody will tell you that this book is a complete package. Josh is a great MC. Ali is a great MFC, but there's just something extremely likable and charismatic and funny and just natural about this book in that Josh's character encompasses all those characteristics. And because of that, it makes the relationship with Ali that much better. By the way, I have read them. They're all just like this because I read them. I then eventually did order them from Amazon, and they came through, and I still haven't. They're kind of just sitting on my bookshelf, unwrapped, because I've read them already, so I don't really need to unwrap them. But I think I kind of do. Maybe I should get back into it. I'm not sure. But anyways, so this is just like a natural package of Navessa Allen's talents. Great character writing, great romance, great spies, great tropes, stereotypical though they may be. It is just a good read in general. And Caught Up detracts from that a bit in a sense, though I cannot remember the exact reasons why. I think Josh sets a high bar, and I think a lot of people go into Caught Up looking for that character and looking for those characteristics that made Lights Out so good. And of course, that is there because obviously you're not reading a book for getting the exact same thing. You want something new. And I think a lot of people miss that because for me, I didn't hate or dislike book 2 as much as other people did. But of course, I heard book 3 was coming. I know Navessa Allen was writing something. I had heard from certain people, obviously, that it was Tyler. And I was always down to give it a shot. I didn't know anything about the gambling. I didn't know about Tyler being, the way he is. I didn't know that it was to be a haters, enemies to lovers, forced proximity, forced dating kind of scenario. I had none of those details, none of those ideas coming through. Just knew that it was about Tyler. Just knew it was Into the Darkness of same universe. So I was expecting that characters that feel of that universe to be in this book, but something new. The same way as Quarter, but something new. But I'll have to be honest and say that I didn't really enjoy Game On nearly as much as I enjoyed the other two. And I think this is the last book in the Into the Darkness series, and I will have to say that this is by far probably the worst, in my opinion. And for that reason, I'm going to start with the negatives today, just so that I can end off with the positives, because there are positives in this book regardless. But I want to start with the negatives. It felt, and it feels weird because I'm not obviously a professional writer, but from a reader's perspective, it just didn't feel well written. It felt like the characters were being written onto me in a sense. So by that I mean, sometimes authors write books and they just naturally flow off the page. So you don't have to kind of explain their motivation. You don't need to explain why they are the way they are. You don't need to explain why you should like them, why you should hate them, etc., etc. And this is something that kind of works a lot for me, because I dislike it when authors try to kind of convince me that, hey, this is the reason why this is happening. This is the reason why we're hating each other. This is the motivation. A book should be written in a way that I can glean that for myself without the author having to explicitly tell me, hey, the reason this happened is because of this. Like, now I should be able to pick up on nuances and complexities and little tidbits here and there to kind of feel like, oh, okay, this is why the MCs or FMCs are doing this. Like, she doesn't like eating. Why doesn't she like eating? Then they sprinkle a little insecurity here. Oh, maybe it's about weight. They sprinkle a little insecurity about there. Maybe it's allergies, or maybe it's a bad boyfriend, something like that. And then it's like, oh no, the reveal, she has gastritis and she's had a hard time dealing with it throughout her life, and obviously the situation is not helping it. But in this book, it just felt like the way Navissa wrote Tyler, the way Navissa wrote Stella, it felt like forced. I didn't have time to feel like, oh, okay, why is this happening? No, it's because she has gastritis. It was like immediately explained to me. Or, oh, Tyler is this way, but why is he this way? Oh no, it's because he hates the rich. Like, it was just it felt like everything was immediately explained to me, and it was kind of forced down my throat. Forced down my throat in the sense that then I couldn't get that for myself. And then it felt like, okay, now she's telling me now not to, she was telling me or forcing me to dislike Tyler. And that wasn't working for me. And then she was like forcing me to like Stella because she was not doing the stereotypical thing where she's family orientated, but also liking the guy she's not supposed to like, and started to fall for him. And all these things were happening, but she's not supposed to. It's supposed to be like, oh no, this is like a taboo relationship because obviously it's detrimental to her family. And Tyler is doing all these other things that are hurting her family or intending to hurt the family. And of course, she doesn't know this. But all of that, it just felt like I couldn't get that. Or I wasn't given more importantly, I wasn't given the chance to get that because she was constantly telling me it. Like, I couldn't figure that out for myself. I couldn't enjoy Josh's humor. I couldn't enjoy Junior's struggles because she was telling me constantly Josh was funny. She was constantly telling me Junior was struggling and why he was struggling. And that was kind of what this book was for me. It was Tyler doing these things and then she was telling me. It was Stella feeling this way and then she was telling me. And I didn't feel at all at one point that the book was kind of like giving me a chance to be in the moment. The other thing I didn't like was, a smaller thing at least, was the whole premise of the book is that obviously now Stella needs to introduce Tyler to people that he can now invite to the illegal gambling rings, and then you will obviously, build up the repertoire of dark secrets, dark crimes, blackmail, etc., etc. And there was kind of nothing there, really, in a sense. The entire motivation for that, or the entire book, basically, of page 50 and maybe the last 50 pages. Between that entire time of 50 to whatever, 300, page 300, was sort of us going to parties, going to social high events, meeting the parents, meeting other people, Tyler meeting the workers of mansions, etc., etc., nepo babies, whatever's, and that was it. It didn't feel like there was any variety. They didn't feel like there was any jeopardy. There was no like, oh, we're going to a restaurant now. Oh, we're flying to Italy. Oh, we're flying to, we're introduced to this world where everybody's super rich. Everybody has generational wealth. They're constantly having balls. They're constantly having events, dinners, etc. So Tyler needs to infiltrate himself in there. But it felt like, okay, no, they're having a dinner, so now we have to do a dinner. They're having a fundraising event. We're doing that now. They're having a celebration for a dog that is old and she might die soon, which is supposed to like say how ridiculous the rich are in this world and in our world as well, of course. But now it's like, oh, we have to do this thing, and it's exactly like those other things. Like it just felt like everything was bland. There was no like creativity for that. Oh, Tyler can dance, so they have one dance. That's it. Tyler's into gambling, so they have because Tyler is doing the whole gambling thing. They have the scene where they go to a gambling room where all the teens or the nepo babies hang out, and then they do that one thing, and then that's it. Like there's never anything like that again. And I know I'm dragging on, but that's basically my complaint. My complaint was that the characters felt forced, and then the book also then didn't really have anything going for it, because every situation kind of felt like copy and paste from the previous chapter. Tyler is popping up to come and pick her up from the thing. They'll argue until they get to the event. The event happens where they argue, something happens, but nothing really, because again, there's no jeopardy. The feeling's the same. We then hop off the event back, and then, we don't really go back to the place, or we don't really go to any definitive place, like second location or whatever the case is, but then that's just every single chapter. And to hop on the jeopardy point and to circle back to my first point about things just being force fed to us, Tyler, like there were situations where arguments were happening. There were situations where it felt like Nevessa was now trying to generate this scenario where the characters were going at each other, and now they had to reveal why it is that they're doing it, or this dark secret that was now going to shed this light on their character that would make maybe Stella feel a bit warmer about Tyler. But Tyler make you feel a bit softer towards Stella, trying to drive that, oh, we're supposed to be hating each other, we're supposed to be, insufferable, but like we're starting to enjoy each other's presence, all that. And all of that fell flat again. It felt like there was no tension. There was no grand reveal. There was no shouting and sharing of secrets and sharing of news and revelations that would push them together. It just felt like, oh, you're driving fast and everything like that. And she would be like, oh no, please slow down. And then they slow down, and then they would have their argument, and then they would walk away. But at this point, it's kind of like a 50-50, because there were good moments where they did have those arguments, and they did have those tension moments, but it worked well. But more often than not, they didn't. Like when Stella mentions it to Tyler that this accident, this thing that makes her bad in his eyes, when that's revealed to Tyler, that is done very well. But what detracts from that is a few chapters before, you have this exposition between her and Runa, where she kind of reveals all of this already, and then it's kind of like force-fed, to me at least, or it felt like to me, that it was force-fed to us that, hey, she didn't do this, and it was actually a friend, and now we just now need to wait for the moment that she reveals this to Tyler, because obviously Tyler doesn't know this. And that was also something I didn't really like. There was a lot of exposition with Runa, and I thought maybe Runa was this character that was now sort of functioning as Stella's therapist / friend / motivation for doing the things that she was doing with Tyler for, like getting revenge on all like the nepo babies and all the people that were bad and rich. But it kind of felt like she kind of had no part to play. She was just there for exposition so that Tyler could not Tyler, but Stella could then tell somebody what Tyler was doing, that she liked Tyler, that she was sleeping with Tyler, and then we would leave again. We wouldn't see her for another 50 pages. So it was just like, what was the point of her? And obviously, my biggest complaint was this is a 366, 70, it's just rounded up to 70 page book, and you have, let's say, three spicy scenes, and you maybe, I think you take about 100 pages to get to the first one. And I know books have different consistencies of spice and everything like that. And I think it's also like waiting game. It was like a slow burner. It was trying to encompass like a slow burner kind of vibe to it on top of the enemies to lovers and forced proximity. But yeah, it just felt like it took way too long. And then when it did happen, I didn't like it. Maybe that was for me. I just didn't feel like there was any like togetherness. I did read a review with people like, oh my gosh, the spice was on another level. But for me, I was like, I don't know, maybe I need that connection to that character in order for the spice to be on that level. But it just, when it happened, I was like, okay, it's I just like that it happened this way. I kind of wish they were alone in their first time, or it was just them. But it just felt wrong in my opinion, and that was also a big detractor for me because, like, again, Lights Out was just so good, and Caught Up wasn't as good as Lights Out, but it was such a good read. Not nearly as good, but such a good read, and this was, in my opinion, like way too far away from Caught Up and way too far away from the recipe that makes this series so good. Positives: it was a short read. I'm trying to grab the positives that now, because I know there were good moments, of course. They were the Tyler's character, though a lot of times annoying. You kind of got the sense of him pretending, but also it kind of being this realization that this is him, the version that we haven't been seeing because we haven't really been interacting with him since book one. Stella's character, in the sense that she was pushing Tyler and the forced proximity and everything like that. I enjoyed that. I didn't really get the enemies to lovers. That was one trope I didn't get. The reveals, the moments where you were kind of rooting for Tyler as well. Like I said before, there were reveals that were done well, but and for those ones that were done well, I'm gonna leave the negative now. But those were the ones that were done well, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the Jeopardy when they went to go see Tyler's art. I really enjoyed his story. I really enjoyed the integration of Tyler fitting into the rich environment, even though he hated it so much, and the idea of him hating it so much and wanting to tear their worlds down for only him to realize that, hey, he is kind of being built in to completely embody them and become them in order to ruin them. It was kind of like an irony thing, and I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, this is gonna be one of those books that I'll probably get it to add it to the collection. I mean, 3 books. I mean, it's a 3-book series. I might as well like get this book because those 2 books are there. Like, to have these 3 sit like this on the bookshelf would be sick, and I would not mind it. I'm still a fan of Navessa Allen. I might detract and like put off reading the next book, whatever series she does, and everything like that. But I'm gonna have to agree with one of these reviews that I saw as well. And yeah, it wasn't as good as book 1 and 2, of course. But I'm not a person that's always like rating books compared to the others. But I have to admit, it was a pretty bad ending to the series. It put a bad taste in my mouth. The book that I got after this is King of Gluttony, and to me, I feel like that's kind of gonna confirm to me whether or not I've been a bit put off onto spicy reads or not. But yeah, I'm gonna give this 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5, or 7 out of 5. Or is that what it is? No, 7 out of 5. Sorry, 7 out of 10. Nah. I'm gonna give it a 3 or a 6. The points detract from it, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as those people that have been giving it 1 or 2 stars. It's a good book. I mean, and if you're into the scenarios, the tropes, and the kings and everything like that, I think you'd obviously enjoy it a bit more. But if you are into Navessa Allen or Blackbird and Butcher, you know, those reads, Anna Wang, etc., let me know. I would love to know your thoughts if you've read the book, and I'll catch you on the next one.